This is the third video in my series about instant runoff with bottom-two runoff eliminations. It has occurred to me that there's a possible complaint that people have about Condorcet method, and I knew that already. I just kind of forgot about it when I was making my other two videos, so this video is kind of going to be for Condorcet wonks. You can ignore the fourth candidate there, the omega. That's just extra. I thought it'd be cool, but XYZ are three candidates, and we can see in the left column shows their first choice vote totals, and the right column shows who they voted for a second choice, who those voters chose as a second choice. In this election, it comes down to the head-to-head matchups that are shown down below, where Z beats Y 51-47, Z beats X 50-49, largely because of second choice votes. Z only has 3% and smokes Y and X. There would be rioting in the streets. So that might be very bad. Granted, it may only happen in 1 in a million elections, but I think maybe we should have some kind of safety valve for that. A more realistic example would look like this, where Z has 19% of first choice votes, X has 41, Y has 40. Instead of the ratio being 3% of first choice votes and 95% of second choice votes, that's unrealistic. This is much more realistic. 19% of first choice votes and 45% of second choice votes. That'll happen in real life. Maybe 1 in 100 elections, maybe more often. I don't know. But I would hope that in more fair election rules like ranked choice that we would have more candidates, especially after candidates see this happen. They'll be more likely to run next time. The election after this one might have 7 candidates full of people saying, well, heck, I was a better candidate than Z. I should have run. So they'll run the next time. Anyway, perhaps we should implement ways to ensure the winner will have some first choice support. And it is written here. And I should have made them smaller. It's kind of hard to fit them on the screen here. But anyway, the first way is use bottom-two runoff. It's just item 1 here. Use bottom-two runoff only on a second ballot, not on a single ballot election. The Alaska top 4 election would be perfect for it because it has a choose one primary, which tells you the 4 people to pass the primary, they're going to have a significant amount of first choice support as long as there are more than 4 candidates in the election. Which, being Alaska, who knows. Second way, use favorite votes in a multi-candidate elimination round. 2A would be arbitrary standard. Cut up to half the field and keep at least 5. I think that might be the best way to go for a 1-round election. So that item 1, that's for a 2-round election, with the 2-round election being the fix for this problem. But if you wanted a 1-round election, you move on to item 2 and 3. But 2A, that's actually pretty good. It's straight to the point. We're limiting the number of candidates that only have a few first choice votes. Item 2B, I'm not going to go through it. I wrote it up. I thought about it. It's complicated. Nobody's ever going to make it into law, but just in case you wanted to think about it or talk about it, there it is. You can pause that. An 8% threshold is what happens in the example election, for where if there's going to be a third candidate, they have to have at least 8% of first choice votes. It's not great, but at least it's something. And then item 3, if you want to have a 1-round election, you can use regular instant runoff in the early rounds and switch to bottom 2 when 4 or 5 candidates remain. And then here's a sample election about that. So the first thing we see is a batch elimination. That works because the bottom 3 candidates together, those voters are unable to put their support behind one candidate that would be strong enough to defeat candidate E, so it's fair to eliminate all 3 at once. In the next step, that's just something that happens regularly in instant runoff. I believe it'll happen in the state of Maine anyway. Here we see candidate D gets eliminated, which is sort of not what we were going for because D has more first choice votes than E. But that'll happen. IRV just has a tendency to eliminate candidates who have fewer first choice votes. But so now, since there's only 4 candidates left, we switch to the bottom-two runoff method. So we compare candidate C and candidate E. Candidate E is eliminated. Go on to the next round. It's bottom 2 again. Candidate A is eliminated. Final round, candidate B wins. Now, the next frequently asked question a Condorcet person might ask is, why doesn't candidate A get a chance to go head-to-head against B? And I'm glad I wrote up the example like this because it fits. So part of the beauty of instant runoff with bottom 2 eliminations is that it's the same as Condorcet in the top 3. So if this was Condorcet and you went and you compared candidate A to candidate B head to head, if candidate B wins, there's no change. B still wins. B wins the election. But if candidate A defeats candidate B head to head, what you would have is Condorcet's paradox, or the 3-way cycle. It's really a tie. It's a type of a tie. People make more of a fuss of it than it is. But the reason I want to stay away from it is I don't want to try to teach people about it. People don't want to learn about it. They don't want to hear about it. They want a simple election method. So we'll just avoid all that Condorcet cycle stuff. And the reason... So here's why bottom 2 is the same. So BAC, this column here, where they're in a 3-way tie in Condorcet method, you would need a tiebreaker. What better tiebreaker to use than instant runoff with bottom 2 runoffs? So you would end up with the same answer. That to me is fair. And let's see, I'm going to put links in the description. I'll just put some links there you might find interesting. If you haven't seen the first 2 videos in this series, please do. They are more interesting. It's about an improvement on instant runoff. Thank you very much.